All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. So, the Doobie Brothers have united with Michael McDonald, and I want to do a little hat tip to my buddy John over on Patreon, who's a loyal patron who attends a lot of concerts, and he will send me his concert footage and or direct me to where I can watch it, and he tipped me off to the new version of Taking It to the Streets with Michael McDonald reuniting with the Doobie Brothers. Of course, they've had this relationship where Michael will join the band here and there. I'm not sure if he's going to be a fixture on their tour on every date. I'm thinking because they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They did get shortchanged because nobody was really talking about their induction because of what happened last year. And their video, I think, for the new version of Taking It to the Streets misses a really interesting opportunity. A lot of the footage that they put into the video is very stereotypical in nature when it comes to the struggles that our country and our world has had in the past. There are a lot of new struggles that we're currently trying to work through, and the video did not tap into that new stream of updated problematic things that would make people take it to the streets, if you know what I'm talking about. And whether it was the stuff that happened last year or the stuff that's happening currently, when you take it to the streets, you're back doing what you love to do, right? You're getting out of your house. You're not being locked down anymore. I mean, to me, this was low hanging fruit, and they passed on it. And there are some important images in there with Martin Luther King, the Vietnam War, but these are things that, the hippie mindset, I'll say that, is kind of in like a bit of a time warp. And the Doobies are basically all old hippies, except for maybe Michael McDonald, who is maybe not as hippie-ish, but certainly partook in the Doobies experience. As far as the track itself, is it better than the original? No. It does have this really cool saxophone introduction, and I think you'll dig some of the new aesthetics in the song. But again, total disclosure here, Michael McDonald in the 70s was difficult vocally to interpret. That interpretation has gotten more difficult over time. And this is why a few late night comedians like Jimmy Fallon, they tend to mock or mimic Michael McDonald. I even saw Jack Blades of Night Ranger do it once, which I thought was pretty comical. I do like Michael McDonald, though. Don't get me wrong. I do like him. But again, if I'm stuck on an island with Doobie Brothers albums and I can choose between the Tom Johnston albums and the Michael McDonald albums, of course, there was a bit of an overlap there, but during that overlap, Tom Johnston didn't have a lot to do, right? So I'm still going to take Toulouse Street, Captain and Me, Vices. Those are the albums I'm going to bring to the island. Even Cycles is a really cool record. The only thing I would say about this struggle between the two versions of the band, and there isn't really a struggle anymore because people are just thankful that these guys get along, and that even the Michael McDonald era, and I came to this conclusion a long time ago, the Michael McDonald era of the band was still an amazing era, winning Grammy Awards. They accomplished something that few bands could accomplish, where they switched their lead vocalist, and it wasn't a subtle switch. It was a ginormous shift in style and sound, and they were still able to continue. And that was primarily because of great songwriting by Michael McDonald on the aforementioned Taking It to the Streets, which is the video that they have done and redone the song in the process. Good redo. I would go see the Doobie Brothers. I have seen them. I think back in the late 80s, I saw them on their comeback tour with Tom Johnston, and there was so much energy at that moment. It was like they were getting the plane, off the runway again, and it felt good. It felt like old time Doobie Brother music. And some people who don't like Michael McDonald, they've always had that hang up about the band that they're just not as good with Michael. But it's interesting when they're all together and they're all getting along, because that wasn't really a thing back in the day. But now I think, I think Tom Johnston said that Michael McDonald was one of the funniest people he's ever met, tells really good jokes, and they laugh and have a good time. But back in the late 70s, Johnston wanted out of there, and he wanted out of there quickly, because once he recovered from his illness, he wanted to get back on the horse and ride it. His first solo album is fantastic. His second solo album, not bad, but the first solo album that Tom Johnston did is amazing. Like Patrick Simmons, he put out an album too, not long after the first Doobie's breakup, and his solo album, I think it was called Arcade. That one is good too. So in any event, I'm done. Do I like the song? Yes. Do I like the original? Yes, I like the original better. Is Michael McDonald still good? Sure. But you might need an interpreter to, figure out some of these lyrics, even though you probably know them by heart.